welcome back to my kitchen. I recently challenged Lyrical Moon Raven to a 4-ingredient outside of the box cooking challenge. Now she's done her part and she's cooked with her 4 ingredients, and in return she's challenged me with 4 ingredients that she'd like to see me cook. The ingredients that she gifted me with are sirloin steak, asparagus, ranch seasoning, and originally she wanted me to cook with kumquats. But sadly, I'm not able to get these right now. They're out of season in my area. So she changed it to mango. And I did ask her if I was okay to use mango nectar, and she said that was fine. So that's what I'm going to be using for this dish. Now to start off with, I'm not going to be using these ingredients tonight. I just want to get the marinade together for our steaks. These are going to need to rest in the refrigerator overnight for like 8 to 12 hours. So I'm going to get these together the night ahead, and then tomorrow I'll be cooking them. The ingredients I'm going to be using for the marinade for the steaks are 1/2 cup of the mango nectar, 1 cup of A1 steak sauce, and 1 to 2 chipotle peppers. You can customize how spicy you want this by the amount of peppers that you add in. So I'm going to move over to the stove where we can start reducing our mango nectar. Here at the stove, I've gone ahead and started heating up the mango nectar, and I'm going to allow this to simmer and reduce until there's about 1/4 cup left. And I'll be sure to come over and stir it just every once in a while, just to make sure it's not sticking or burning to the bottom of the pan. Now that the mango nectar is reduced, I'm going to go ahead and add it into 1 cup of A1 steak seasoning, and I've gone ahead and put 2 of the chipotle peppers in there. And then I'm going to put this over on the blender and allow it to blend until it's smooth. Now that I have the chipotle peppers blended smooth into our marinade, I place it into a plastic bag, and I'm going to go ahead and start dropping in my steaks. Now that the steaks are fully coated in the marinade, I'm going to put this either on a plate or into a bowl just to catch any leaks that might happen from the plastic bag throughout the night. And I'm going to allow this to sit in the refrigerator for about 8 to 12 hours or until I'm ready to start cooking them tomorrow. Now that the steaks are done marinating in the refrigerator overnight, it's time to go over the rest of the ingredients I'm going to be using for today's dish. Starting with my new potatoes that I've gone ahead and parboiled for about 8 minutes just to help give them a little bit of a head start. I'm going to be using a little bit of olive oil on those and 1 of my spicy ranch seasoning packets. For the asparagus, I've gone ahead and cut those up into roughly 1/2 to 1 inch size pieces. And I'm going to be making an asparagus soup with this, with 2 cups of chicken stock, 2 tablespoons of butter. Down in here I have 1 clove of garlic that I've minced up. I've got a little bit of green onion that I sliced that I'm going to be putting on the top of them after it's done. And I'm going to be seasoning it with salt, pepper, and a little bit of this ranch spicy seasoning mix. And we'll also need some heavy cream for that. It's a cream of asparagus soup. And then, just so you guys don't think I've cheaped out on the mango, I'm going to be making a mango tea to help wash our meal down with. So let me get some of these ingredients moved out of the way, and then we'll start bringing our dish together. So the only thing I need to do with the steaks is allow them to sit at room temperature for about 1/2 hour, 45 minutes, just so they're not completely cold when they go on the grill. And the first thing I'm going to do is make my mango tea, and all that's going to be is 2 cups of the mango nectar and 1 cup of strong brewed tea. I'll pour those in, stir these together, and then this is going to go in the refrigerator and allow to chill down until we're ready to have our dinner. The next thing I want to go ahead and get together are my potatoes, and those are simply going to go into my dish, drizzled with a little bit of the olive oil and my ranch seasoning packet. Now I probably won't use this whole packet on this. I'm going to start with just a little bit of it, stir these around and see if it needs any more. I've used roughly 3/4 of the package of the ranch seasoning mix on my potatoes, and these are going to go in the oven on 375 degrees for about 35 to 45 minutes, or until they're cooked completely through and they start getting a little bit crispy and golden brown. Here at the stove, I want to go ahead and start the asparagus soup by melting our 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to add in my garlic and allow this to saute for about a minute. Now that the garlic's been sauteing for a minute, I'm going to go ahead and add in my asparagus and allow these to saute for about 4 to 5 minutes, or until they start to soften just a little bit. The asparagus have been sauteing for about 5 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and add in 2 cups of chicken stock and the rest of this packet of ranch seasoning. A little bit of pepper. Now that it's come up to a boil, I'm going to drop my temperature down to simmer and put a lid on this. I'm going to allow it to simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll adjust the seasoning level after the asparagus are cooked all the way through. In the meantime, Slacker's going to be taking the steaks outside and cooking them on the grill for about 7 to 10 minutes on each side. Ran out to check on the steaks and see how Eric's doing. They're looking good. So I'm going to let him get back to this, and I'm going to go back in and finish up the asparagus soup. Sorry guys, I forgot to turn on the camera for this next part, but what I did is I checked the asparagus after 20 minutes to see if they were fork tender, which they were. Then I took them off the heat and used an immersion blender to blend them until they were smooth. Those are our potatoes done. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and finish up the soup by turning my heat back on to about medium and adding in 1/2 cup of the heavy cream. And now at this point I want to check it for seasoning. Actually, that's really good. I do want to add just a bit more black pepper and a good pinch of salt. It does need a little bit more of that, and watch out for the splattering. There we go. And this is basically done. So as soon as I get the potatoes out of the oven and plate it up, we can try all this and see how it turned out. I've gone ahead and plated up the meal, and the only thing I did to finish off the asparagus soup was to drizzle a little bit more heavy cream across the top of it and sprinkle a few little sliced green onions on there. Alright, let's dig in here and try this. I'm really excited to see how all these ingredients work together. The asparagus soup has a really pleasant kick from the ranch seasoning that I added. Not too spicy. I don't get a lot of the ranch seasoning, just enough to know that it's in there, but not really enough to tell what it is. I really like this. I'll definitely be making this again. Alright, let's move on to our potatoes. I'm kind of excited for these, as well as our Chipotle mango steak. The potatoes are so good. A little bit crispy around the edges and on the bottom. Really creamy in the center, just the way I like them. And I do like the ranch seasoning mix on them. It gives them just a little bit of something different than your normal everyday roasted potatoes. I really like the marinade on the steak as well. It's got a little bit of spicy kick from that chipotle pepper I added into it. I get a really subtle hint of the mango. I think if I do make it again, I'll definitely be adding just a little bit more of the mango nectar in it, so the A1 doesn't kind of overwhelm it as much. And as for the drink, I really like this, and I know I'll be making this quite frequently. Overall, I've had a really great time coming up with a recipe for this outside of the box 4-ingredient recipe challenge. I think I've pulled it off. I really like how everything worked out. Everything kind of works together, and the whole meal goes together as a whole. Alright, I would definitely want to say a huge thank you to Lyrical for the ingredients that she gave me. At first I was a little weary about them, but they turned out really good, and several of these things I'm definitely going to be making again in the future. But that is going to be it for me for the day. If you would like to leave a comment down below, I would truly appreciate it. I really do enjoy hearing all of your feedback. If you guys tried this recipe out, or any part of this recipe, let me know how it turned out for you. And as always, thank y'all so very much for joining me today. I've been Volker. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.